everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and it's been a while since we've done one of these Sony Pictures Classics 30th Anniversary 4K Blu-ray box set reviews, and that is a mouthful, let me tell you. And we're up to Part 7, Guillermo del Toro's The Devil's Backbone. But before we dive into that review, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, movie reviews, some tech and game reviews along the way, then nothing helps this channel out more than by you liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So The Devil's Backbone was originally released in 2001, is directed by Guillermo del Toro, and this is a Spanish language film. It's a horror drama, but I would say that this is more of a mystery thriller drama. Even though it's kind of pitched to you as a gothic horror film, I would say that this movie is more of like a tragedy, because the feelings I was feeling while watching this movie were just sadness and depression. I mean, that's what del Toro was going for, and you know, he also wanted to put a heart in this film. And Guillermo del Toro is one of my personal favorite directors, and it's mainly just because if you guys have heard me here on this channel before, you've heard me complain about CGI and just fake looking backgrounds, but Guillermo del Toro does not cut those corners. I'm not saying he doesn't use CGI, because even in The Devil's Backbone, there is some questionably CGI when it comes to an explosion, but it's 2001, so it's to be expected. But Guillermo del Toro, one thing that people have always said about him is his production design, and for me, he is still the leader in incredible production design. Just 2 years ago, he had a film called Nightmare Alley come out, and just thinking about those shiny, glossy, granite black floors, I still think about it, the beauty in that, the costumes, that snow falling in Nightmare Alley, and then just this past year, he could do animation, incredible stop motion animation with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I do believe that that was the best animated film from 2022, and there was a lot of good in there, but I mean, he does kind of have a formula. A lot of his films are dealing with fascism and war. All of that's usually going on in the backgrounds of a lot of his films, you know, Pan's Labyrinth. So this isn't something that he hasn't tackled before. And this film, The Devil's Backbone, the civil war that's going on in Spain is a big part of this story. Like, a lot of people, I think, going into this have heard that this is a ghost story. It is a ghost story, but I actually think that the ghost story is second to what everybody else is going through in this film, because it's really dealing with the despair, the pain of war. Because, I mean, this entire film takes place in an orphanage. We don't ever leave this orphanage. At the very beginning of this film, Carlos is being driven there by somebody who is loyal to the two people who run this place. They would be considered the rebels, so he's bringing people there, he's saving lives, and then he goes back out into the world and he has to deal with basically, you know, protecting these people, because this orphanage has been a target of a bomb in the past. Unfortunately, sitting in the middle of this orphanage is a bomb that luckily did not go off, and that is an allegory for this film, because it does open with, you know, ghosts are real, you know, people aren't dead, they're still living, and like this bomb that's in the center of this orphanage is a ghost. Some people say when you put your ear to it, you could still hear it ticking, and that's basically what this film is, you know, illustrating throughout, because this orphanage, they believe, does have a ghost, a kid who they think disappeared, but unfortunately, this is going to be full spoilers, by the way, he was killed by the caretaker, who also lives on this property with his fiance, even though he's kind of one of the worst people you'll ever see on film in your life. But Guillermo del Toro, because of his just fantastic writing and directing, because he did co-write this film, still gave that guy a moral gray area, in the sense that we know, because they bring lines up about this, that he was just the loneliest kid growing up, and he has a lot of despair for this orphanage, and we don't know why he does. We don't know what caused him to be this way. We just know that there is something inside of him that has made him this monster, uncaring, selfish, narcissist person that he just ended up being. And the two people in charge of this, the doctor and Carmen, they have a relationship as well, a non-sexual relationship. And actually the caretaker is having sex with Carmen. You know, he's giving her the D that she wants and needs, but they don't have an emotional connection. It's strictly sexual. The emotional connection is between the doctor and Carmen. And that relationship, I think, is built up beautifully throughout this film, because Carmen, at the very beginning, I don't think we care about her. You know, we're supposed to feel like, I think they were trying to make us think that she's going to be this evil villain running this orphanage and making the kids, you know, lives miserable. We were completely off on that. This film just has such a heart to it. I mean, very early in this film, I mean, I felt my heartstrings getting tugged on, and you feel that throughout this entire film, because there is just so much pain, so much death. I mean, Guillermo del Toro just went for it with everything. You're going to be hurting at the end of this film, but yet it still leaves you with a smile on your face that maybe there is hope. And that's what Guillermo del Toro does best. He just tells these fantastic little horror fairy tales that You know, I feel like some people are expecting a little bit more. I've heard people complain that he doesn't write the best of films. His films aren't the most organized. He's just a glorified production designer, and he does amazing production work. But I have really enjoyed a lot of his films: The Shape of Water, the 2 Hellboy films, and then Pan's Labyrinth is probably his greatest film of all time. It's really hard to say. This does feel like a precursor to Pan's Labyrinth. It feels like he was getting the production design and everything that he would want for that, but just not, you know, this movie only features one ghost, so we only really get to see the makeup work put on him, although there is a lot of explosions, and you can see all the burns and blood and everything. So yeah, again, Guillermo del Toro, amazing visual effects, amazing production design. Is this my favorite of his films? No, this would probably fall more in the middle for me. As much as I enjoyed the story, and I enjoyed the fact that, you know, it's not as much of a horror film as it is a war film or dealing with the casualties of war. It's more of a tragedy or more of a mystery thriller than anything else. I still really enjoyed it. I just don't think it lives up to what I consider to be my favorite Guillermo del Toro films, which are like The Shape of Water and Pan's Labyrinth. I think this would fall more in the middle, kind of down there with like the first Hellboy movie, those kind of movies where they're not my favorite, but they're still really good, and I still really get a kick out of watching them and enjoying my time. And like I said, I teared up a couple times in this film. So if you haven't checked out Guillermo del Toro's Devil's Backbone, I can recommend it. It's not my favorite of his films, but it's still something that I think you should check out. And if you are a fan of Guillermo del Toro's and you just haven't really been around to check out his Spanish work because it's in subtitles, I really think that you guys will still get a lot out of this. It's still a really good movie. It's still something that's going to pull at your strings. I still think it's something that you guys need to check out. And if you do want to check it out, well, this 4K is in this Sony Pictures Classic set, so we're going to review that right now. Alright, well, like in the previous editions, here it is. It's in this beautiful hard box that I learned to love. It took me a while. You open it up, you go searching through for the Devil's Backbone right there. Close it up, down, and here we go. So you get your unique slipcover that only comes in this pack. So you got the, you know, Sony Classics blue on the side of every single one of these. A nice slipcover. No stats on the back, that's all underneath. Pop it open, and there you go. And you get, I love it when they do this, and Sony Pictures did this for all of them. You get alternate box art underneath. You get that new custom design for the slipcover, but you get different artwork underneath, and then underneath also you get all your stats, special features, information, all of that on the back. So if they ever do release this individually, more than likely this is what the 4K will look like. And there is a previous release of this from Criterion on Blu-ray. I believe it came out, I want to say, in 2013, which would be about 10 years old now. But that, I don't have that Criterion set, but I do understand that that's apparently a very good visual and audio transfer of this film. But this 4K is phenomenal as far as visuals and audio go. Now, the audio is only in Spanish. There have been on this set previous foreign language films that have had English dubs on them. No, there is only one audio track on here. It is a Spanish language DTS HD 5.1, and then you can watch it in English subtitles and I believe in Spanish subtitles. And that's as far as the audio goes, and that Spanish audio track was phenomenal. Now, this is a dialogue-heavy film. It's not really much action. There's a little bit of, like, you know, explosions and stuff throughout, and all that stuff made good use of your rear speakers, but the dialogue was crisp, clear, and clean. The entire mix was just really well done. Everything that, you know, all the background noise and everything like that was all well mixed. It didn't feel like it was all just being heavily front-heavy. Even if it is front-heavy because it's a dialogue-heavy film, I still feel like they did make good use of all of your speakers. It's a pretty damn good audio track, but like I said, if you're one of those people that have a hard time with subtitles, unfortunately you are going to have a hard time with this, but I still recommend checking this film out even if you do have a hard time with subtitles, because it's still overall a really good film. But the visuals, you get Dolby Vision, HDR10, it's presented in its original aspect ratio of 1.85, so no black bars, so this is going to fill up your screen and it's going to look pretty damn beautiful. Now, I did check them out both in Dolby Vision and HDR10, and only thing I could say about the HDR10 compared to the Dolby Vision is I felt like it was a little bit more grainy in the early scenes, but then I kind of didn't notice that. But it was only on the HDR10 that I noticed that a little bit when I was checking it out on my LG C1. But when I was watching it in the Dolby Vision on my LG C2, absolutely crystal clear throughout, looked gorgeous, bright, crisp. It looked very similar to all the other 4Ks I have seen in this set. All of them except for the one that has a previous 4K release, but this doesn't have a previous 4K scan. So this one is a new 4K scan and it looks amazing. I'm telling you, like, a lot of this film, you see a lot of sand, blue skies, all the outdoor scenes, they're just going to pop off your screen because of the contrast, the vividness. You know, the 4K resolution is perfect, but the, you know, the Dolby Vision HDR, that deep deep blacks, the bright colors, all that is just doing so much work here. And just like all the others in this Sony Pictures set, the visuals are a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. And if you're a fan of this film and you've seen it in previous editions, now I haven't seen this in any previous editions like DVD or VHS, but I cannot imagine this film looking any better than it has. This set is 7 for 7 as far as 4K transfers go. I really hope that if one like this gets an individual release because it deserves it. Now, as far as extras go, it's just like the previous ones where there's a little bit of extras. There's a making of documentary on here too, which I always appreciate, but it's a small one. It's more like a featurette. It's nothing like a feature-length making of documentary, but Guillermo del Toro has talked about this film in the past. Guillermo del Toro was very open about his films and talking about his films. He's, one of the coolest directors that we have working. He just seems like such a charming guy. Just a guy who cares about movies and cares about his fans. And you know what? In Hollywood, that's the kind of people I have always appreciated. The ones that always seem nice and genuine. And Guillermo del Toro has always struck me as one of those nice, genuine people. So there are a couple of audio commentary tracks on here featuring him. One just with him and then one with him and I believe the cinematographer, because this is a beautiful looking film. So you get both of those on here as well, and a couple other little featurettes. Like I said in the previous releases, I expected no extras in this set, and I would have been perfectly fine with that because I expected some huge visual jumps, and I was just happy that these movies that aren't released anywhere else are in this set, and I get to look at all these beautiful 4Ks in one big box set. I didn't care if it didn't have extras, and I'm a big extras guy, but I just didn't expect it. I didn't think that they would spring for all the bells and whistles, and even though these extras are all previously released and, there's not much of them on each disc, it's only bonus points because I didn't expect it, and they did just such a good job putting these on this disc. And these discs so far were 7 for 7, are all just fantastic. They could get individual releases, and from $20 to $25, they would be absolutely worth it because you don't get a Blu-ray disc in these at all. It's just a 4K disc. I don't think I even showed you guys, but they all also feature individual disc design. So they really just didn't hold back in this pack, and this film has never looked and sounded better. I'm sure of that. You get a little bit of extras on here. So if this does get its own release sometime down the line, I can highly, highly recommend you pick this up, especially if you haven't checked out The Devil's Backbone and you're a fan of Guillermo del Toro and you've only seen his English language films and you haven't checked this out, or Pan's Labyrinth or Chronos. I could recommend all of those films. Pan's Labyrinth is the best of the best from him. That movie is honestly, it's probably close to a masterpiece. It's some of the best production design and visual effects you'll ever see. Hopefully down the line I can do a review of that because I know that has a Criterion and a 4K Blu-ray release. It might be a fun video just to compare them and tell you guys which one is the better version of that. It is kind of strange though that we have some of Del Toro's stuff on Criterion and some stuff is individually released, and who knows if we'll ever get a physical release of his Pinocchio because that's a Netflix film. Although I can see that coming to Criterion because it is a special film and now it's an Academy Award winner. And Del Toro, like I said in the previous, like I have said, he seems to care about his fans. He seems to care about his physical releases. So who knows, maybe we will get that sometime down the line, and I will be waiting for that, I promise you. So what would I give this out of 10? Just rating this 4K in this set, I would still give this a really solid 8.5 out of 10. Obviously, if it doesn't include a Blu-ray disc and the extras are very limited. So if this does get an individual release as is, I would say it's an 8.5 out of 10 because those visuals and audio are outstanding. But if this does come out without a Blu-ray disc and it does come out with just those limited extras, it can't be a 10 out of 10, but it's pretty damn close because those visuals and audio are incredible, just like all the other ones in this set. So yeah, it's going to be an 8.5 out of 10 for me because it's also not my favorite Del Toro movie. I enjoyed it, but it's not one I'm going to be running back to like Pan's Labyrinth or even The Shape of Water for me. Or even Hellboy 2, Golden Army. Have you guys ever seen Golden Army? A lot of people only talk about the first Hellboy, but Golden Army arguably is better. But you know what? It's also Friday, and that means it's time for our digital code giveaway. And if you're new to the channel, we do this every single week. Matt or I will ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one of those questions in the comment section below. And then on Monday's video, we put your name on a magic wheel. We spin that wheel 2 times, and the 2 names that it lands on are this week's 2 lucky winners of the digital code giveaway. And you know what? I figured I wasn't going to ask this question, but it is Friday and we're talking Del Toro. What is your guys' favorite Guillermo del Toro film? Now, not everybody is probably a fan of Guillermo del Toro, so that, I think he only has 12 theatrical released films, so, maybe not everyone's into him. So if you don't want to answer that question, I figured I'd ask you guys, what is your favorite film from 2000 to 2009? This film came out in 2001, so this does count, but if you guys want to answer any films that came out between 2000 and 2009, and some of my favorite films came out in that decade, It's probably, when I was growing up, going through middle school and high school, really learning about film, and I had a lot of great films come out during that era. Some that might make my top 10 all time, but I want to hear from you guys. What is your favorite film from the year 2000 to 2009? And what is your favorite Guillermo del Toro film? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to come back to Monday's video to see if you are this week's lucky winner. And anyway, guys, if you really want to help this channel out, nothing helps this channel out more than by you liking this video, subscribing to the channel, searching for us on all podcast services, giving us a 5-star rating there, and after you're done doing all of that, I want you guys to go to Spain, find everyone you can, tell them all about Let's Talk Entertainment and Media. Unless you're already in Spain, then you can tell everyone while you're there. You don't even have to travel to Spain. But I'm just playing around, guys. Please enjoy your weekend, and we'll be seeing you around.